You raised the issue of recruitment, and it begs the question on the whole structure around the Nigerian police force. Do you think it's a thing of remuneration, or it's more an overhaul of the whole system, starting from recruitment all the way to also holding them accountable?
I think it is definitely an overhaul of the entire system. We look at it from the beginning to the end. Who are the people who are recruiting into our police force, and how are we treating them? Now, for those of us who have had, the opportunity to visit some of the police barracks around in Nigeria, you know how the conditions are very heartbreaking for the most part, And these are the people who were entrusting with the lives of Nigerians. You look at the average salary, I think it's somewhere around 88,000 or something like that, and many of them complain. But from what I've heard from the police officers I know is that they don't get their boots issued to them, they don't have their uniforms issued to them as it should be, and so oftentimes they're having to replace these things out of their own money. And beyond that, one needs to ask ourselves, I believe it was Singapore where they made sure that every serving member of the armed forces has a house in the country. Now you're giving somebody 88,000 naira and you're giving them a gun and you're telling them to go sacrifice their lives for the well-being of the community, when they themselves, based on what they're earning, cannot even own a shack in that society. So what exactly are they dying and fighting for if they can't own a piece of the country that they're fighting for? So there's definitely structural problems that we need to look at. And what creates the environment where our police officers are not being adequately compensated? To me, it is just always down to impunity and corruption. When you have a system that is so corrupt that the higher-ups are able to afford the latest cards, but yet the policeman that is doing the work is in a position where he can't even pay his children's school fees. That is a structural problem, where you have a situation where the people who are recruiting into the police office position are not well trained, they're not well screened to ensure that they're perfectly capable of executing the job. Then we have a problem. And beyond that, where we have a culture of impunity, where people who are reported for excessive use of violence or just corruption are not being dealt with as they should, but simply relocated from one force to another, then we have a problem.